Though it may seem impossible, it is real. Toyota is making every effort to maximize its financial success, and that includes any marketing strategies or other strategies that are keeping you, the consumer, broke, which we'll discuss in this video. Instead of actually getting a good deal on the car, what is Toyota doing that is keeping people broke? Join us as we uncover the hidden truth behind Toyota. Welcome to Zone Tech. In this video, we are going to talk about Toyota's new way of selling cars shocks everyone. So before starting, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for future updates. Since the 70s, Toyota was a car brand that appealed to the average person. Their models back then were affordable, extremely fuel efficient without being gutless, and above all else, they were extremely reliable. Toyota entered the market with this idea, and it has been the philosophy they have adhered to ever since. Numerous of their models were outstanding in the automobile industry, and they originated or popularized many global vehicle types and categories, such as SUVs or hybrids. They have also created marvels of mass production. Additionally, Toyota has always put its customers first and paid attention to market expectations. The fact that the majority of Toyotas that are more than 30 years old and that have been produced in the millions and sold at incredibly low prices are still being driven dependably to this day, even though Toyota continues to sell even more cars, is the only evidence you need to know how good Toyota is. That Toyota's CEO and the president would want his devoted customers to go bankrupt came as a complete surprise. The grandson of the founder of the Toyota Motor Company is Akio Toyoda. Since the business had gone through an unprecedented manufacturing boom, Kiichiro Toyoda has previously demonstrated that he is a superb leader. Toyota has always been a sizable automaker, but under his direction, the corporation unquestionably developed into one of the biggest, most well-known, and most significant brands in the industry. Therefore, it would be like Toyota shooting itself in the foot if it bankrupted its endless and devoted customers. Right. They would instantly lose their whole fan base and reputation, which would force them to close their doors. And how could that strategy possibly benefit the business? Of course, declaring them bankrupt would be disastrous, but Toyota's plan is more akin to a strategic bankruptcy. So what is their strategy? Toyota wants all buyers to switch back to leasing. On paper, leasing cars seems like a terrific idea. You drive a brand new car that you've leased for a few years. You pay your monthly costs. You do not pay for upkeep. Additionally, you can lease a new car for the same cost after your current lease expires. Consequently, you might theoretically always be driving a brand new vehicle. Additionally, you have nothing to worry about in terms of automotive depreciation. The procedure seems orderly, uncomplicated, and effective. Leasing does have certain drawbacks, one of which is that it may be rather expensive. When you lease a car, you're essentially paying for the first 2 or 3 years of ownership, during which time the automobile loses the most value. You must either lease a new vehicle after your current one expires or buy the one you have been leasing, either outright with cash or typically with credit. In either case, you will have monthly payments for a considerable amount of time. However, if you paid cash for the automobile, you would effectively be able to drive it for no further payments once the loans are repaid. Along with other drawbacks, the world had a severe economic crisis, which significantly reduced the number of automobiles that are leased. In reality, according to Charlie Cheesebrough, a senior economist at Cox Automotive, the leasing share has been declining since it peaked recently in February 2019 at around 34%. According to Charlie, the 2022 lease penetration will drop to a startling 19%, and based on present trends, it will even drop further. Toyota has chosen to take action as a result, as it is currently extremely improbable that lease prices would return to those from before 2020. Toyota intends to lure people back to leasing in an original way. Given that the supply lines have been hampered and held down by everything that has happened over the last 2 years, it is likely that the lease will be on a schedule that is longer than the recommended 36 months. Fortunately, inventories are only now beginning to rise from their historic lows, giving the company plenty of time to develop a fresh idea for the middle of the decade. Toyota representatives have stated that they intend to either advertise leasing to customers in a different way by offering them a period to return them, or they intend to appeal to the customers differently. That takes 3 to 4 years off the retail contracts, which would make leasing once more popular in a few years, as customers would once more be enticed to take advantage of the advantages that leasing a vehicle over purchasing one affords. But why would Toyota insist that buyers lease brand new automobiles? What advantages does leasing offer the producer? Do you happen to know why this is happening? Please share your thoughts on this in the comments section below before we respond to the inquiry. You've gotten seconds. Are you finished? If so, the reason is that leasing has developed into a crucial tool for the entire business because it promotes car sales. But it also provides a priceless source of raw materials for incredibly lucrative certified pre-owned cars, particularly ones that come with prepaid maintenance like Toyotas do. Most leases have annual mileage limitations of between 10,000 and 15,000 miles, and anything beyond this amount will be heavily fined. A restriction this stringent effectively puts the buyers in a deadlock situation because new cars are typically purchased to rack up mileage. These automobiles are substantially more expensive than those that are privately owned as a result, because the entire history of the car is known and documented. Additionally, you may incur fees if you modify your automobile in any manner. This is because you must return the leased vehicle in the same state and configuration in which you received it, which raises the cost of the vehicle on the second-hand market and makes leasing a car highly expensive. Many consumers were astonished to discover that maintaining a leased car can cost significantly more than they had anticipated. Most leasing companies demand that you obtain a more expensive level of insurance protection for the car, typically up to $300,000 in liability coverage, which effectively raises insurance costs relative to just buying the vehicle outright. By the way, you can't just break a lease whenever you want to, since there are severe consequences. If you decide you no longer desire a vehicle you own, you may always sell it. A lease, however, is essentially impossible to end, and even when it is, the penalties are so severe that it is almost never worthwhile to do so. Additionally, leasing gives manufacturers and dealerships a release valve for their monthly sales, enabling them to advance lease vehicles if sales are sluggish or lengthen lease terms if inventories are low. But before we make a judgment on whether Toyota will profit greatly from merely leasing automobiles, we must realize that the leasing rates industry-wide have been severely hit due to low inventories brought on by production cuts and part shortages over the previous 18 months, as well as the necessary pullback in automaker inventories that followed. Toyota in particular struggled with microchips and semiconductors, and as a result, they dramatically decreased their 2023 total vehicle output. Still, their demand exceeds the supply and output of manufacture. As a result, although being extremely profitable, leasing cars may still be too much for Toyota, and addressing